live at the door. All right. All right, you good. You go inside. Good morning. I have a cool band that I actually get to meet in person because we all have this uh glorious meeting together later this year called Fochella. I have Desmond from Career Day. Welcome to the pod, big dog.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you. I'm excited for us to get to link up beyond DMs and supportive replies and ats of each other.
1 million
And
percent. That whole like the parasocial relationship has now blossomed into like I actually know we're actually talking live across cameras now. It's the next step.
eventually there
Yeah,
will
and
be no
eventually meaning
screens. It will
that
just be
it is
shared air.
yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. First things first, how are you? How is it's been really, really cold. I have friends that live in New York and they said that the Hudson was freezing.
Yeah, so yesterday I had a PA gig that I worked down in Manhattan at Pier 59 by Chelsea Pier. So like walking by the water, it was like entirely not entirely frozen, but you just saw the ice chunks just like atop like the entire kind of port.
That's kind of
So
fucked up.
yeah. Yeah, was not too thrilled about that. My Pacific Island Philippine blood is not built for this climate at all. Despite being born, in the area and living here my whole life, it's never good, and it's just getting worse. And I'm so glad that we're definitely moving in a direction that is going to, actually care about these things surely and not just
Sure.
pretend that it's all good.
Now, you said you lived in New York your whole life. Where in New York do you live?
So I live in Sunnyside, Queens now. I grew up I was born in Manhattan and then like lived in Queens as a kid and then moved to Long Island in like elementary school age and then lived there for most of my until like adult or through adult life, and then mid to late 20s started living with my then girlfriend in Brooklyn, and then we moved in together in Queens about what year is it?
Yeah, right.
What
It is 2020 the year 20,
seven
oh hell yeah.
7 years ago? Eight? Fifth, yeah, seven. Yeah, it's nearing 7 years of living in this neighborhood, so it's great. And I love it. I don't think I'll ever leave, but money is a thing that seems to not be ever great or fun or good.
Sure,
So
sure.
worst case scenario, I can just invoke squatters' rights and go full GTA 4 plus star wanted level, come and take it
Uh-huh.
mode
Yeah,
if
no,
uh,
it's
if the rent
batten
goes
down.
up 100 more dollars.
Yeah, batten down the hatches, and it's war. It is
Absolutely.
officially war. So you mentioned Long Island, and that is where so 95 Corolla likes to say that, we are Southern Long Island emo. Just because I fell in love with, Taking Back Sunday, Brand New, that whole stuff, back in the day. And you are actually Long Island emo, like, or at least
Yes,
like
yes, yes.
close the fuck
Yes,
enough.
yes, yes.
Career
No,
Day
for
is
sure.
Career
Absolutely.
Day is 100% in those veins.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely.
is that what you grew up with as well?
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean and that's where, I went to high school. Like my formative years were on Long Island. My first Warped Tour ever was South Jersey because it came through as I was uh on a Jersey Shore family vacation.
Sure.
Um and but like the majority of my Warp tours were at Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, and that was like my first dropped crowd surf was during Motion City soundtrack, just on the concrete, and definitely, if I lost some brain cells and memories, I probably needed to lose. I could definitely.
Yeah,
I'd love to lose some more, to be honest with you.
yeah, those were
The
well
haunting.
deserved. Those were well
Yeah,
deserved. They had it coming. Those brain cells had it coming. They,
yeah,
they knew what they did.
but TBS, yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, that was the very much the. I mean, it's funny, like, I'm a little older, so like being in high school, although like as I was in high school was the beginning of like Taking Back Sunday becoming like an arena rock band,
Sure.
and Brand New becoming the Mysterious Band, which as time went on,
Yes.
the need for mystery became less less pretentious mystique and more
Yeah, more a
okay, that's
necessity.
why.
They had oh
Yeah,
yeah, like
more.
they were secret out of necessity. Now, I think
Yeah.
that you and I kind of grew up around the same time. Now, I graduated in '06. When did you graduate?
Oh, 07.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Dude, okay,
Yes.
cool. Yeah,
Old dudes
okay,
at
cool. I
bow.
think I've been
Let's
wanting to, I was like,
go.
okay, all right, okay. It's not, I'm glad that there are other like people in their 30s that like that are still trying and doing stuff. I think it's really like I started 95 when I was I wrote RIP probably when I was 31 and like didn't do anything with it. And it was I released maybe my the first EP or something when I was like 33. I was like I don't care. I'm gonna start doing all this stuff even though I never really had the chance to, or maybe it's now is the time to do this stuff. What
Mhm.
made you want to like finally pull the trigger on this? Is this like your first band?
No, no. I mean, I've been in bands before, but like for me, the trigger being pulled on this, and it's like very timely in the social climate right now. But like for me, it was that like as you get like into your when you get into your 20s and shit, it's just like making the time to for band practice and like
Hmm.
shit like that. Like unless people are about it and into it, like it's not really the time. And like so, there is a demo of ours that's on Spotify that's from 2018,
Hmm.
but like that was largely just like wanting to try to kick around like that was the first like as an adult like trying to step back in as like a working person
Hmm.
and making music, and it was just like one of those things where it was like I like this, but I the time commitment um was not worth the especially like a band like unless everybody's bought in
Hmm.
the getting something off the ground. And I can't like write like I can't play guitar, so I'm a very collaborative
Hmm.
um artist and writer, and I can't just like make music like just
Sure.
independently of collaboration.
You have
So
to
it was
wait. That's
yeah.
annoying. You have to wait for like the person to have the music ready so that you can be kind of like activated.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where so like there was like registering that kind of like, oh, okay, I'd like to do this, but it needs to be like worth the time thing. It was like kind of shelved a little bit, and then in 2019, uh, I turned 30, and I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm 30. I want because the idea, the premise of Career Day was this idea, like it started during that period of that demo because I was working at the ACLU of New York
Hmm.
on Long Island actually in Nassau County, and I was very frustrated, working in the working in I guess you could just say like cause work or advocacy type
Sure.
spaces. It was very frustrating working and like it's always especially as a non-white person it's been frustrating
Hmm.
the aspects of privilege and this kind of divorced uh, uh, s- reality that felt like a lot of bands and peers have from uh, what this country and what this world is and has always been.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
For me, there was this feeling, working in it on a daily basis. Um, there would be this frustration of like, working and it was like a two-person office. It was me and the chapter director. So I would be the person that would have to read the newspaper every day about different um, potential uh, civil liberties, civil rights concerns,
Sure.
legislations, etc. I'd have to, and I'd man our intake line. So like
Okay.
I'd have to take calls from people that are dealing with lots of injustices, whether it's, police brutality or profiling or discrimination in schools and things like that. And to then, you know, and this was for context, this was 2016 through 2020, right before the pandemic,
Hmm.
when I left the ACLU. Like to go from my work day being that and my just general like inclination being that to then going to shows and knowing how online everybody is
Yeah.
and seeing the lack of either actual conversation being had or direction being given at all like to issues and or it just being this very shallow type of like make sure to punch Nazis or like fuck
Yeah, it's
Donald
just,
Trump. Like,
oh my God, you are like touching on like so many qualms that I do have about certain parts of like this fucking community. 1 million
yeah,
percent.
yeah, yeah. And so for me, like the thing that made me kind of uh apologies for this like long kind of arc of origin, but like it gets to during the pandemic. Right before the pandemic, like in 2019 and throughout 2019, I had met Jacob, our guitarist, um, and he had these ideas. So I just he had a post. Funny enough, you said Long Island Emo. There was a Facebook page called Long Island Emo, and I see this guy post that he like had just graduated college. And he's looking to start a band, and these are my influences, but I'm looking to just collaborate with someone. It's like, oh, this checked so many boxes, like vibe wise and like influence wise. And the fact that not all the influences were my influences was also cool because I knew, I'd be hearing things that I wasn't, I'd be brought things that my brain's ear wouldn't kind of
Sure, and it's
create,
like,
you
and
know
we're
what
like,
I mean?
listen, you can only see so many, so like you can see your side of the totem pole, and you want to see
Yeah.
other people's sides of the totem pole as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
you were excited about like kind of hearing new shit.
And so yeah, we started jamming and throughout 2019, we had recorded an EP, but like, okay, let's wait till, we have more songs and we're tighter live with like actually playing these songs and we were gonna play a show in March 20 something, 2020, finally, because I feel like this type of music, without, especially with like the social commentary element to it, I feel like without the live show, I don't know. Without a live show to kind of help develop and live the project,
Hmm.
it feels like there's an element missing. So we're gonna play this show, and then it never happens because of the whole thing
Yeah.
in 2020 and so there's this feeling of like damn it took all this time to like and at that point you said 31 with RIP like I'm at 31 now and it's like okay am I just gonna not do this and like luckily
Yeah.
I had this job that I just jumped to that was just kind of a boring corporate HR job, but it went remote. I was like, it went fully remote, which was lucky because like my first week there was the week that the pandemic happened. It was March 9th, 2020.
Uh-huh.
And like, so that was the last full
Whoa.
week. And being able to have that, like being, privileged enough to have that like weekly income, um, and not having really expenses beyond rent and rent and
You
food,
totally,
like
totally.
um had more money than expected, and there was this feeling of like, all right. And on that first EP, there are certain elements of social, not necessarily commentary, but I think it exists within a social um, lens. Um, I thought to myself, like, I have more money
Hmm.
and time, and the band, we have more money and time than we ever will have. This type of project, and I think the scope of what I want this band to mean, I would rather us have. I'd love for us to have the most canvas possible, especially if this is, if this is a thing that's on borrowed time, you know, I want to be able to like know that I said everything I wanted to say, or that I brought something to the table that I was proud of in the space. And that's, took that time to write our album, which is kind of like the launch of the band, really, like
Sure.
publicly, because we didn't really do anything. Like, so, and that was kind of the motivation of like, there's a moment like of like just creative time and
Hmm.
money that can be spent to make an album that I think this project kind of needs to best assert its identity. And that was kind of the jumping uh, point, or the opening to make this band, and the motivation to actually push through with this, because it was like, just because it felt like I would hope that's the only time in my life that I'm ever in such circumstances like that, to make the best of a
Yeah.
horrendous situation.
I think that I've talked a lot about this with other bands where, if there was nothing better for DIY music than the pandemic. It was a perfect time for everyone to finally get out what they wanted to say because everyone was alone with themselves. And
Yeah,
I think it let everyone spill out like what actually, and I think that's really, really poignant of you saying that, where it is important that when you're, as a writer, that you're saying what you want to say.
yeah,
And I think that that is something that some people, when they're writing songs, I feel like that sometimes when you're listening to music, um, they're not saying what they want to say. And I think that, listening to your guys' EP, I think that 100% you're actually singing what you want to sing about. Where some people are like, well, I have to sing about this, or I have to sing about this, or this is what spilled out, but maybe I didn't go deep enough. Where I feel like that you're singing exactly what you want to sing about.
yeah. No, no. I appreciate that. That means a lot. That's like, because it's honestly like labored and obsessed over.
Yeah,
And to me, because, and I think maybe you feel this way, but I feel because I'm older, it's like the I think the meaningful thing and the like the quote unquote beneficial thing
yeah,
is the same thing. Because for me, if I'm not like leaving it all out there, what is the point? If I'm not leaving it all out there, I should have stayed in the HR job that I just quit, to like make more space and time for this, to
yeah,
like pursue like flexible income, because like the whole point of this to me is to like literally create your own platform. You're like, this is, some people have their, some people are essayists, some people are directors, some people, like, that's how they say their things,
yeah,
that's how
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
expel their stuff. For me, and I'm interested in other writing processes, but for me, like, this is the like place that I am best able to like express it all. And like, in the songs I get to be like, this is like, every song I write, I want it to kind of be a in some way, shape, or form, serve as a like really strong time capsule of
Yeah.
the world that I was living in, and situate the type of world that I was living in, and how I was perceiving it. And like, for me, that, and when we play the shows, like every set is like half an hour. Um, sometimes 35 if I talk a little bit too much in between songs. And shout out to all the sound folk that don't
Yeah.
say that don't cut me off. I appreciate it. Um, but like that is a very liberating window that, I feel like social media, I'm not sure if it's created, but it's exacerbated, and now it's kind of cemented this insecurity, like this panopticon insecurity
Hmm.
that like we are being watched all the time, we are being judged all the
Yeah.
time. We live in utter like in grave consequence with little upward mobility.
Yeah,
And I think
it's
it makes you
weird.
scared. Yeah, it makes you
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah, I think that it's a really, really strange time to, first of all, be in a band. I think that it's never been harder in the weirdest ways. I think that um, I think I look at even mixing, mastering people like here in Nashville. Like I feel so bad because those jobs, I mean, if you learned how to do mixing and mastering and recording all that stuff, that fucking market is so hard to convince bands to like basically let you touch the goods. Like I'm not sure like there's a shout out Pat from Loblo, she is Patsy is like one of the best. And I personally we don't use them because our guitarist does everything, but I always have to make sure to like point people towards those people because it's really, really hard in this market to be in music. And I think that music in itself, even the relationship between musicians and the listeners, I think it's really, really strange right now. I think it gets that parasocial relationship is it doesn't uh I do an explanation. I use the term uh uh it's like colorless mana. If you ever play Magic the Gathering, uh
No,
like
I'm the least gamer of the gang.
so there's this term called colorless mana. And
Mhm.
colorless mana in the game, uh there are five colors to play with, and in order for a spell to be activated, there's a cost, and the cost is usually the color associated with like the card. Like sea creatures are usually going to be blue, goblins are red, zombies are black, tree folk and all that stuff is green. But there's also a another feature where it's there's like this colorless mana. So it'll be like one green and then four colorless, or two blue and one colorless. And it's like it's this hollow thing. I think that it doesn't my relationships sometimes online uh can feel like a little bit like colorless mana because it's a little bit hollow. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel real. I remember that uh I'm glad that some of these relationships have blossomed into actual friendships. The relationship between musician and listener, especially online, is a strange, unknowable, weird thing that we all are kind of dealing with all the time.
In real
And
time, all the time. Yeah.
all the time, and it's the only thing we can kind of do is remain kind of positive and just have like just tweet good shit, like be a good person online, talk your shit, and like post and do as many shit posts as you want. But it's like I find that like there are people that there are bands there are like bigger bands that don't really tweet that often because they kind of don't have to. Like
Mhm.
if you look at like Ben Quad is you look at them, they're interacting with like other bands at their level, and they're basically like, hey, listen to Ben Quad. And like that's their whole thing that they have to do. They've escaped the reality of having to talk to people online to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
help boost them up because they are on their own perpetual motion machine moving up and upward,
Mhm.
where we all have to do this thing. And it's okay. I'm glad that we're all doing this thing. And there are like people like Will from Football Meltdown, where we're all his friends. Like that guy looks at all of us and says, "These are
Shout
all
out
of my
Will.
friends. We love
Shout
you,
out Will's
Will."
Will's another old head. Was able
Yeah.
to talk about like the junior varsity and the
Yes, dude.
audition. Yeah,
Just a great old band. But yeah, like there's like this weird thing that I feel like we're all dealing with. I think this the state of things and being online is strange. I think shows are strange too. I think just promotion and like all this stuff is just such a strange experience. And just like hoping people come to a show and like you can do all the marketing in the world and you could buy ads and you could do all this stuff. I've never bought an ad. I feel like that's a little it's just a little beyond me. I'm not sure if I feel comfortable doing that. I already invest so much money in it. I don't feel comfortable with it.
yeah.
Like it's like, listen, I'm not sure if spending another fucking dollar on an inst and like I don't want people to recognize my band from an ad. Like,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want people to recognize me from like either saying dumb shit online or then and basically that's it. That's what I hope. I hope that people know about my band because of dumb shit I say online. That's it.
Yeah, no, I mean, so yeah, it's one of those things where I think on top of all this, like the tying thread is that the uncertainty, like there's no, and I always like to say, because sometimes like I'm also a hockey fan, and
Hmm.
like whenever something gets critiqued in the culture of a specific subculture it will get talked about like why are people complaining about this when like as if this is a specific thing to this and on some level that's valid because it's sometimes we like to think about subcultures especially in like punk which is supposedly a counterculture
Yeah,
as this like safeguarded away but it's just inherently impossible coming from an overarching culture to not bring for any of that shit to come in to
totally.
those spaces. And to me, I mean, I think in general we are living in just a completely broken, decaying, like the social contract in general seems pretty broken in society. So inevitably, this like uncertainty and this discomfort and um and how you're being perceived and saying the right things or not saying the wrong thing. That's going to make its way here. For me, my kind of key thing is like I want this band to grow and grow so that more people can hear the message and like I think about sustainability and
Hmm.
like my perspective of sustainability is just trying to treat the entirety of social media, the voice that we have on social media as just hanging out.
Yeah, one
If
million
I was at
percent.
a show, at a bar, at an island game or whatever, and we happen to be sitting next to each other, and like inherently we're already kind of in the same place for some sort of reason. So there's no reason for me to I'm not going to under like I'm not going to over buddy, with everybody over assume, over insinuate myself, but I'm also
Yes.
not going to like act like I don't want to talk to them or what like
Yeah.
stand up, be above the
Yeah.
engagement.
I think that's the best way to think about it is like, listen, despite the weirdness of having to type out your responses and feeling like this isn't hanging out. It is still just hanging out. It is still just like a party. And whether it's happening on Blue Sky or Twitter or Instagram or Discord, it is this new version of hanging out. And it's taken me a long time to like get there. Maybe it's because I'm old as fuck and I'm not used to it. And it's just strange in itself. To I'm just there's so many happy things and there's so many weird things happening that I'm just glad that there are people that just want to talk about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's just nice.
No, absolutely. I and to me, I feel just appreciative because like, the algorithms and all that bullshit, like it's real. That is part of how you're heard, but to me, it's and I'm always trying to figure out how to make us better to the algorithms while not like performing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Well, not performing for them, but no matter what, to me, it's this feeling that like uh algorithms will come and go, but I still believe that like culture is something that you have the most control over, and that's something that
Yeah.
lasts the longest in terms of being a band that makes things that people actually will stay with them and that they'll stick with. So for me, I just try to um do my do my thing and hope for the best, just trusting that like and frankly just being grateful for the fact that like look, we're playing Coachella and like as a band that I get friends of mine that are in bigger bands and or in the industry will tell me like it's valid. It doesn't make me feel bad as much as it's valid but frustrating about like you got to get your numbers up. You got to get like, and it's
Ugh.
just like, and for me, it's like, okay, let me just press the button that makes numbers go up
Yeah.
really quick. Let me. What's the blueprint for pop punk emo band that sings about racism
Yeah.
and state violence and labor inequality and like let me what's the way to gussy that up in the cutest like making like
Yeah, like
gestures to the camera
what
type
TikTok
thing.
dance do you have to do? Uh
Yeah, let me do
like,
that. Sure. That's
yeah.
not like completely demeaning and demoralizing, but like it is one of those things where the fact that there are people that care enough you and like having what's great about this scene, to me, being on Coachella is awesome. Like seeing us on that list makes me feel fucking
Dude, it feels
great.
so fucking good. It's so crazy to feel like it feels like it's this first glass ceiling thing that you've
Yeah.
broken through. It feels like there are many thresholds you break through as in early DIY band shit. But one of the ones that feels like you're in the next level, and shout out Connor and shout out all of Summit Shack for making us all feel like this, that once you hit
Connor,
Coachella, it's like I don't know. I think that everyone feels like they're at that next level. Like it's
it's just
so
yeah.
cool.
To be part of it's just nice. And to that end, it's like I think to myself, like, okay, that's bands, and that's also people that are to be into all of these bands, even the bigger bands, there's an intentionality of listenership that I find that's how I got into music. I'm sure that's how you got into music of just
Hmm.
like this. I want at the chorus level, I want to feel more. You
Hmm.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that is so encouraging. And for me, with the like to me, this band being born out of, this feeling of alienation within space that's supposed to be cathartic
Yeah.
that we get to be in the room and singing these songs that get to sing No Problem, get to sing fucking Team Player and Last Thread and all these songs that really are me spilling a lot of just like a lot of intense moments of anguish um
Yeah. But that's the
out.
point.
Yeah,
It's
like
just that's the
that
point.
we get to do that in that room. That's everything. That's part of why in the pandemic it was like, how great would it be just to get to play a show at all? Now we're gonna get to play um to that room is gonna just be it's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited for it. But yeah, it's also nice just to get to talk out the aspects of like I'm glad that we're also on the similar path of like, all right, man, this shit's never ending, huh? God,
Yeah, I
this
know.
wheel.
It's just more homework, more weird emails. It's just like I think it's not one of the things that I never expected of doing band stuff was just like how much back end work you have to do. And like it's you literally put in the work that you really have like that you want out of it. And it's kind of uh like in the beginning of this podcast, I talked to a lot of people about like sending emails and stuff because it was just part of, my journey of being in a band where it was like, it was how far do I want this to go? Do I want to play 30 shows a year? Do I want to do I like it's just really, really crazy. But I do want to play a song of yours
Mhm.
from the also everything you've talked about is literally about the slice of life stuff and everything. The title of your record being I'll Always Be This is just like so perfect. And when it comes to just like the whole record in itself. And by the way, the EP is great. So
Thank
I'm
you.
really, really, really hyped to show a song here. So what song would you like me to play right now?
Hmm. You know, I trust your ear and your listenership because it's four songs, and I don't know that there's one that I'm like I love them all. I'm curious, what's your favorite of the four?
I'm a good fan of Rumor of My Wellness
Mhm.
because I just love that. Just first of all, it's just a great line, and it's just a really, really good line. And so yeah, I'm gonna play that. All right, here is Career Day. Rumors of My Wellness.
I'm running out of things to quit. Rumors of my wellness sadly are exaggerated. For the last 3 months, I put the bottle down because I thought that once I ditched the booze, I feel like new, but all I found was shame. That was bottle shame, regrets and fits. No matter how many steps I take, I'll always be this. I'm running out of things to quit. Rumors of my wellness sadly are exaggerated. Either way, I detoxify. It still feels like I'm picking poison. Sad to say, encouragement still became so mundane. Once I had to keep on doing it. Regain consciousness to age, revisiting crooked, broken frames that I can change, that I gotta live with. As the mountains start to plateau, feels like maintenance, not a milestone. Sorry that I sound annoyed, I know that it is not the point. Someone tell me when the joy kicks in. I'm running out of things to quit. Rumors of my wellness sadly are exaggerated. Either way, I detoxify. It still feels like I'm picking poison. I'm running out of things to quit. Self-improvement is so damn overrated. Either way, I detoxify. It still feels like I'm picking poison. I'm running out of things to quit. Rumors of my wellness are sadly exaggerated. Either way, I detoxify. It still feels like I'm picking poison. Still feels like I'm picking poison. Still feels like I'm picking
Right, that was Rumors of My Wellness by Career Day. Desmond, dog, I can't wait to hang out with you in person in like
Gonna
five
be
months.
beast.
It's gonna be so sick. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, big dog. We'll talk to you soon.
Later.